order the February Board of Education General Meeting. At this time, if everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Good evening, Ms. Parker. Can we begin this evening with a roll call, please?
Chair Cobb,
Here.
Pam Pereza,
Here.
Tommy Old,
Here.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Present.
Rodney Walton, not present, Sharon Warden,
Present.
Valerie Bogues,
Present.
Gabby Johnson, Mitchell Manuel, and Haley Mayhew.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Now at this time, Ms. Bogues, would you read our ethics awareness statement?
Welcome to the February 26, 2024 meeting of the Elizabeth City Pasquotank Board of Education. It is my duty to remind members of the board that it is your responsibility to avoid all conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest in accordance with Chapter 138A of North Carolina General Statutes. As public servants, it is your duty to continually monitor, evaluate, and manage your personal, financial, and professional affairs in such a way as to ensure the absence of conflicts or potential conflicts. Does any member know of any conflict of interest or potential conflict of interest with respect to any matter coming before the board today? Let the record reflect that no conflicts exist.
Thank you, Ms. Bogues. At this time, I need a motion to approve our agenda for this evening.
I move to approve the agenda as printed.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Williams and a second by Ms. Warden. Do we have any discussion? Ms. Parker, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Tommy Old,
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Rodney Walton is not present, Sharon Warden,
Yes.
and Valerie Bogues.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. It's such a wonderful thing that we are able to celebrate so many exciting individuals this evening. So at this time, I'm going to turn over our meeting to Dr. Parker for recognitions.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. And we have several recognitions tonight, so I'm going to ask Mr. Jackson Hurd to come forward and introduce who we have tonight, and to all of our staff, family, and community partners. We're just really excited to see so many people come out tonight and do some great recognition. So thank you, Mr. Jackson Hurd, for introducing us.
Good evening, Board Chair Cobb, Vice Chair Pereza, and the distinguished board members. Today, we want to highlight some great things that are happening in our district, but some great accomplishments in our district. We will first start with recognition of the Letters Program, followed by Pasquotank County School Athletics, and then we will follow up with Weeksville Elementary School in terms of their highlights. But before we start, what we want to do is show you guys a message from the State Superintendent.
Hello, everyone. I'm so thrilled to recognize and congratulate all of you on your completion of letters training. My primary goal since taking office in January of 2021 has been to raise the quality of education in our state for all learners. From day one, my team identified early literacy as a critical strategy to achieving this objective, and each of you has played a lead role in helping to make substantive progress in this goal throughout the last 2 years. As educators, we have all embraced the concept of remaining a learner. To a certain extent, we must be lifelong learners in order to better serve students, and that role is one you have graciously embraced throughout this training. We all know that the first few years of a child's education are vital, and that learning to read is essential to a student's academic progress and success. I chose education as my career because I am truly passionate about literacy and understand that student outcomes, both during their K-12 education and beyond, hinge on being a proficient reader. We chose letters as an investment in our teachers and for the future of North Carolina. Ultimately, investing in our educators is what allows us to truly and sustainably change the trajectory for many students in our state. What makes this process even more rewarding is that we know it's working. The improvements and gains we are seeing in students' literacy skills statewide are remarkable, and it demonstrates that our state's commitment to instruction, informed by the science of reading, is successful. I want to thank you for the time and energy you have devoted to letters. While I know the time you've poured into this training has been intense, I hope it has also been a meaningful and impactful experience as you continue to implement what you have learned. You are beyond busy, and yet you carved out time to prioritize this process, and it is because of your work that our students will benefit. I am continually inspired by the progress we have made so far, and I can't wait to see how your work will benefit North Carolina students for decades to come. The future is brighter for students in our state because of you and your dedication to improving literacy outcomes for our students.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Katina Waples. I am the Executive Director of Elementary Schools. Tonight, we would like to honor our 100 Cohort 1 certificate recipients of the letters training. These recipients have put in approximately 200 hours of coursework as they completed their modules. Their goals have been improving teacher effectiveness and student learning outcomes, and we just want to thank each and every one of you, yourselves, your families, for your commitment, your dedication, and your unwavering support. We will get started. We will start with Central Elementary School. Verdona Ashley. Verdana. She always corrects me. Sorry, Verdana. Stacia Bow. Please come get your certificate and then head to the stage. Alicia Billups. Monica Burnham Fulford. Quashonda Cartwright. Jasmine Jones. Shanika McNillan. Emily Beeman. Rebecca Masters. Lori Monahan. Alexander Stanley. Tashanya Tatum. Melanie Whidbey. And Kimberly Whitehurst. Miss Brothers, where are you? Hold on a second, Miss Gordon. Miss Brothers is coming. Thank you, J.C. Sawyer. Thank you, Central. Now we'll move on to J.C. Sawyer. Come on up, Ms. Robertson. Carol Barnes. She's homesick today. Tiffany Vogue. Christy Hornthal. Okay. Maya Jaycox. Jennifer Jones. Tanette Lumsden. Katrina Sutton. Amy Williams. Bernadine Wood. Jolie Lime Cooler. Diamond Brookins. Lynn Braymiller. Thank you, J.C. Sawyer. Ms. Prayer, would you like to join us? Next, we'll have Northside. Alberta Wandell. Samantha Balmer. Miss Blades. Elsie Boone Thompson. Lauren Bryant. Tammy Campbell. Kristen Castello. Barbara Davis. Glenda Infinger. Tanya Johnson. Stacy Lee. Margaret Liverman. Leah Macklin. Latoya Sawyer. Cotina Skinner. Brianna Riddick. Lisa Tucker. Betty Ward. Melissa White. Thank you, Northside. Next, we'd like to present Pasquotank Elementary. Colleen Walker Brown. Brittany Spence. Shanae Christian. Dewana Jefferson. Jada Lister. Sabrina Perry Carver. Lakia Privet. Lindsay Phelps. Dana Hawley. Thank you, Pasquotank Elementary. Next, we'd like to present P.W. Moore. Monada Johnson. Shanice McNeil. Miss Wellington. Shanice Whidbey. Lenasia Williams. Wanda Johnson. Taylor Jones. Joris Manuel. Lavora Todd. Thank you, P.W. Moore. Next, we have Sheep Harney Elementary School. Okay. Josette Brookins. Darnett Davis. Tiffany Lumsden. Jennifer Raby. Tina Riddick. Virginia Walton. Laura Boykin. Jason Davis. Elizabeth Jordan. Shanicia McBean. Tiana Nixon. Ebony Reed. Loretta Stokely. Robin Walden. And Patricia Weeks. Thank you, Sheep Harney. Next, we have Weeksville. Carolyn Bright. Jennifer Blackwell. Shamira Moore. Brianna Parker. Dawn Stallings. Dottie Jennings. Thank you. Paula Keith. Jessica Meads. Melanie Carter. And Samantha Hare. Again, to our 100 recipients, thank you so much for your hard work. We know that you've done a lot. It took over 200 hours to complete your coursework. We appreciate everything that you guys do each and every day. Thank you again.
Next up in our recognitions is Pasquotank County High School Athletics.
Good afternoon, Dr. Parker, board members. I am here to present certificates for students exceeding in excellence for our sports program. We are super excited about what is happening on the north side of town. As Dr. Parker says, north side, strong side. And so we wear that tag proudly. Our first recipient is Mr. Logan Schiffbauer, who participated at the State North Carolina High School State Athletic Association 2024 Swimming State Championships, and he came in 13th place. Logan Schiffbauer, will you come forward? His coach is Miss Christina Weiss. Next, we have a freshman, Mr. Clark Keller, who participated in the North Carolina High School Athletic Association 2024 Wrestling State Championship and came in 6th place in the 175-pound weight class. And so we are excited about what he's going to do during his tenure at Pasquotank County High School. His coach is Mr. Wayne Norton. So, this one is special. Not that all of them weren't special. Come over there, Clark. And take Schiffbauer with you. Logan, get back up there. What are you doing, man? So when I came to Pasquotank County High School, one of the first questions was asked of me. They kind of caught me off guard a little bit, but they know my heart is always kids. Is could they have a women's wrestling program? And so I'm like, why don't you have one? So they explained to me the logistics, and so in the past they had always been wrestling with the men's wrestling team, but this year they wanted to have their own team. And so I said, okay, you know, you put the challenge to them, and I said, well, if you can get about 10 girls, then I'll consider it. I think the room was full of 20. So of course you cannot say no to that many women in the room. And they started with their women's team. Well, guess what? They took the challenge and they raised the bar. We have our first place women's wrestler in the 126-pound weight class. Not only are we honoring Black History Month, but hey, we're gonna keep it rolling into March the 1st, Women's History Month. Camila Brooks, come on, baby, because you broke some glass ceilings. Camila Brooks is a senior at Pasquotank County High School and won first place in the 126-pound weight class. Congratulations. Her coach is Mr. Dustin Oler.
Thank you, Ms. Moore, and congratulations to the Panther athletes that have excelled. And next, we're going to ask Weeksville Elementary School to do their recognitions.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to Weeksville Elementary School. I'm the proud principal, Jim Schiffbauer, and here at Weeksville is our motto. We say every day, everything you do, every day matters. And actually, Ms. Moore, North Side is strong, but South Side got it going on too. I think we got it just as strong over here. So we are representing well. At this time, I do have the pleasure tonight to recognize some amazing staff members and students. It was a difficult task this year like every year, and I could honestly say something amazing about all 34 staff and all 225 students. But these ladies that I'm recognizing this evening, working behind the scenes, really make Weeksville what it is, as well as these 4 students that will be coming up and joining us. So first, I would like to recognize my 2 cafeteria ladies, Miss Teresa Ellenwood and Miss Sandra Thatch. They prepare over 200 breakfasts and lunches every day for our students and staff. They're always smiling, talking with our bulldogs, and they eat about eating healthy and doing your best in school every day. And they know every student's first and last name. Thank you for everything you do. I'm sorry, Miss. It's out of order. I'm sorry, Miss Sandra. Next, I would like to recognize Miss Amanda Mead. She's not here this evening, our school nurse. I just wanted to say a few words about how amazing Miss Mead truly is and what she does for our students and how she cares for everybody here at Weeksville. She also is a team player because she also pitches in the office whenever somebody is out, so she's basically wearing several different hats. So I'd just like to recognize Miss Amanda Mead, our school nurse. Next, I would like to recognize Miss Crystal Davis. Miss Davis works in our EC Children's Department and does a fantastic job with our students, supporting and building those relationships. Thank you, Miss Davis. And then lastly, I have to recognize two more fantastic women. They do an outstanding job holding down the fort in the craziness of the front office and are well loved by this Weeksville community. Many know them by first name only. Some do know last name, but it's mostly Miss Carrie and Miss Wendy. If I ever need to know anything or find anything about or where to ask for something, I know who to talk to. I would like to really thank Miss Carrie Coker, our bookkeeper, and Miss Wendy Meads, our secretary, for everything that they do every day, inside and out, not only for myself, for this Weeksville family. Thank you both so much. Y'all, they hate this too, but. Now I have some fantastic Bulldog students that I would like to recognize. First, we have Nova Bateman. She's a kindergartner in Miss Richards' class. Miss Richards had this to say about Nova. She brings a ton of energy to the classroom and is always positive. She has a charisma about her that all her classmates love. And I'll be honest, every time I see her in the morning, she is smiling from ear to ear. Thank you, Nova. Hold on. Next, I would like to recognize Amina Graham. Amina Graham is a second grader from Miss Payne's class. Miss Payne said Amina is a treat to have in the classroom, and she exhibits a willingness to learn new concepts and is fantastic at reading and math. Way to go, Amina. Next, I would like to recognize Atticus Watson, a fourth grader in Miss Woolley's class. Miss Woolley said Atticus holds himself to high academic standards and leads in the classroom. Way to go, Atticus, for being a leader. And my final student that I would like to recognize this evening is Haley Cowell. Haley Cowell is a fifth grader from Miss Harrell's class. Miss Harrell said Haley has a passion for learning and a love for reading. She is also doing fantastic in math and science as well. Way to go, Haley. At that time, this concludes my staff and student recognition, and I'd like to introduce my video coming up next.
This year, we've implemented on Fridays club days. Club days have been amazing this year because kids get choice. They get choice of a club that they want to go to. We've had first semester clubs and now we're into second semester clubs. They get a choice of either Lego club, Play-Doh club, drawing club, painting club, STEM club, dance club, yoga club. We also have origami club too as well. I'd also like to talk about two other special clubs that we have that are in our fine arts building, which is our ukulele and piano club, as well as our pottery club. These two clubs have been a huge success this year. Actually, we've kept them going both first semester and second semester because the involvement with the teachers and the students have been absolutely amazing.
One of the reasons I decided to come here was talking to Mr. Schiffbauer, and trying this program is called TAB, Teaching for Artistic Behavior. It allows the kids to be the artists. The whole kind of philosophy of a TAB classroom is that the child is the artist and the classroom is their studio. So they take control of all the ideation, all the planning, the ideas behind their artwork, the creation. It's really great for them because each day they kind of come in with their own ideas, really excited, and they also kind of become engaged.
Today was a ukulele and keyboard club. I like offering both instruments because we don't get time, we only get 45 minutes each class, and so ukulele and keyboard club allows them to come in and explore on the keyboard. They have been leaps and bounds succeeding in learning how to play the chords, the patterns of each chord, and singing and playing at the same time, which kind of is like patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. Thanks to the Education Foundation, I was able to receive a grant to implement the keyboards in my class. So each kindergarten through 5th grade gets an opportunity to learn very simple, easy songs, and the feeling of accomplishment that these students feel after playing each song, it makes my musician heart so happy. It really is what it's all about.
Another great thing we implemented this year is our actual videography, which does live announcements through our YouTube channel, and we have student-led and completely student-run announcers and producers, and they run the entire setup, and it is a wonderful thing to see them just technology savvy and going through all the pieces and components and watching them live on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube, it's amazing.
Well, first we get our producer to sign in on the computer and we get everything set up with our microphones. And then we have our slides, which one of us sits back right here. We might have a special guest or it just might be us. So, and it's a lot of fun. We just talk about what's happening, what national date is.
So today I was the producer, and I think it's important because some people would like to know like what day it is if they don't know, or they would like to know what's for lunch.
So here at Weeksville, we're extremely excited to see the approach that we've taken with clubs and infusing them into our school day every Friday, and it has just created an atmosphere that is just exciting for kids. They just really love it, and it's changed the style of what we're doing with school, and they feel passionate about the learning piece, but then also the fun piece.
And really, that's just a little snippet of really what goes on Friday. Friday is amazing here. The morning time is from 8 to 8:45, so if you ever want to come out and see what it's like and participate in some awesome clubs we have, it's pretty cool. We're going to move to Cricket Club. We're moving to Vex Robotics next year. So this is growing into something bigger, and it's tapping into the other side of the student brain and giving us exploration. So, but at this time, thank you guys, and if you have any questions or...
Any of the board members have any questions?
No.
Thank you so much for having us this evening.
Thank you all.
So we're at that time of the meeting. It happens every time we have a meeting. Everybody gets a little antsy. They start looking around to see who's going to get up and leave first. If you just bear with us for about 3 or 4 more minutes and let Dr. Parker and our student board members give their reports, we'll take a short break, and then nobody has to make any guesses. We'll be able to get you guys out of here for supper, daycare pickups, or whatever. So, Dr. Parker, we're going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. Just want to share a couple of things with everybody, but also want to just thank again Mr. Schiffbauer and the Weeksville staff and families for hosting us tonight. We had a full crowd here, and as I look across the room again and see all these recognitions, I just love seeing everybody out here tonight. So thank you for taking some time to come out and for coming out and celebrating, and all of my friends that I'm smiling at right now. I appreciate seeing everybody. A couple things I just want to share in terms of shout-outs. I want to thank our Human Resource Department and our Communications Department for organizing a booth we had at a Chamber of Commerce event recently. You may have seen that the Chamber hosted a job fair which was called Ready, Set, Expo, and it had so many of our local businesses and entrepreneurs there. We had a booth there as well, and we actually ended up taking over 100 of our high school juniors and seniors from Northeastern, Pasquotank, the Early College, and H.L. Trigg. And our students were able to go around and meet business owners, and some of them, they submitted their resume right there at the expo, and some of them have been offered some opportunities for summer and part-time employment right in their junior and senior year. And we had so many of our businesses compliment our students and thank them, and saying that out of the students that were there, they were the most well-dressed, well-mannered, and articulate students that they saw at the expo. So I want to give a shout out to everybody that helped prepare for that, and also to our amazing students that participated. We also won first place in the booth design, which there was a judging competition, and we won first place in that. So let's just give a round of applause to everybody there. Very excited about that. Also, the week of February 12th was in North Carolina a week called Love the Bus Week. And so we just are so thankful for our school bus drivers, some of which were in this room, or in some still may be. But we have close to 45, depending on the time of year, 45 to 49 school buses. I love around 7:30 to 2 o'clock, depending on the time, that our yellow buses kind of take over Elizabeth City, and you can see them anywhere you go almost. And so that's a point of pride for us, because it takes so much work, organization, and dedication to keep those almost 50 school buses on the road. We're essentially running a small little city transit system right here in Elizabeth City to be able to make that happen. And so I'm so thankful to our transportation department for the work they put in. A lot of times they're some of the last people that leave the school system, because they stay around until every bus is cleared every day to make sure our students are safe when they get on the bus and go home. So I want to also thank our amazing school bus drivers for the work they do. My mother was a school bus driver, and I just have a special place in my heart for those that drive a school bus. And for those in the audience that may want to drive a school bus, just please see me before you leave, and we can talk about how you can do that. So to our school bus drivers, thank you. I also want to see, and I see Miss Ambrose is still here, but I want to give a big shout out for two reasons for P.W. Moore. But recently, P.W. Moore was selected as a North Carolina Lighthouse School Award recipient, and that goes to either one or two schools a year in the entire state of North Carolina, and P.W. Moore was selected as one of those schools. So I want to shout out P.W. Moore. And I'm so proud of the work that's going on at P.W. Moore. Just a little over 2 years ago, P.W. Moore was considered by the state of North Carolina as an F school, and a school that had not met exceeded growth. They are now, 2.5 years later, a school that has exceeded growth and was 3 points away from becoming a C school. So that right there deserves a round of applause. And I think that's also a testament of there's not really anything we can't do in Elizabeth City in our public schools here. And so I'm so proud of the work that's going on. So shout out to P.W. Moore. We're also on March 9th hosting a P.W. Moore alumni breakfast. And so if you'd be interested in attending that breakfast, we'd love to have you. And that's something that we're excited about there. We're pressing ahead. We have launched last week and this week in all of our schools, all 13 schools, what we're calling a 60-day plan of purpose. And that means that depending on if you're elementary or middle or high school, last Wednesday or this Wednesday will mark 60 remaining instructional days before students take the end of course or end of grade test. And if you think about just how fast this year has already gone and how fast it will continue to go, I know our young people on the board here are counting down till the week of spring break, which is approaching as well. But what we're saying to our schools and to our students and staff and to our families is 60 days, a lot can happen in 60 days. And for students that are getting ready for those exams, we want to make sure every day is purposeful, that everyday learning happens, and everyday students get ready to prove to the state, to our community, and to themselves exactly how amazing they are. And our belief is by the time we get to those 60 days, that every school in Elizabeth City will exceed growth and will increase the letter grade. And with the type of teachers and principals that we have, and I see them in this room, don't anybody tell me that can't happen. And so with this 60-day plan of purpose, we're going to make our community proud of our public schools. And as we've been saying here, we love our public schools, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure they are the best choice for our families. So with this 60-day plan of purpose, your principals and teachers will be sharing more, but I'm so excited about these days that are ahead. And again, thank you for everybody that's coming out. Now I'm going to turn it over to some really exciting student reports from our student board members that will carry us into the break.
Okay, we'll start tonight with Haley Mayhew from the Early College.
Hello. So throughout the month of February 1st, my school had a school dance, and we also recently got new cafeteria furniture, which is just a lot nicer and gives it a more modern feel, I feel like. We got our Student Government Association made a fundraiser giving out candygrams for Valentine's Day. And the National Honor Society created Valentine's Day cards for Westbrook Retirement Home. And the National Honor Society has also recently been scouting new members. And today we gave out informational papers for students who have high enough GPAs so that they can join National Honor Society next year. And finally, recently we had middle schoolers from ECMS and River Road come to visit our school, and we showed off things about our school. And a few days after that, we had community nights, so parents of students interested in going to the school could come and see what we're about. Thank you.
Thank you, Haley. We'll go to Jonathan Manuel from Pasquotank County High School.
Good evening. So, on my agenda, I had athletics, but we've already went over that. In February, our school hosted the Ministers' Council, which is really cool to see all these people that's come and support the school system. And we had CCP night. I forgot the date. But it was really cool for students to come. And basically, it was another career fair at our school. And on to the Albemarle, on the first Friday in March, which is March 1st, our school will have art displayed all month. And we have our prom theme, which is a whole new world. That's pretty cool. And then Miss Moore has this saying called, "Don't watch us, watch the moves we make." And that's pertaining to our test scores and how they've gone up, and we've had more students passing and more students closer to passing than in the last few years. So that's really exciting, and we're showing growth there.
Good afternoon. I'll go off of his testing. I know our juniors are taking the ACT tomorrow, so they've been studying for that the past couple weeks. And then our dual enrollment students are taking midterms next week, so pray for us and our juniors and seniors next week. Last week we celebrated FFA Spirit Week, so that was interesting seeing everybody walk around the hallways in cowboy boots and cowgirl hats, so that was nice. And then our winter sports are doing very good. They're coming to an end. Our girls basketball team, I believe, is in the playoffs now and only has 1 or 2 games left, so they did really well last week in all their bracket games. And then all of our spring sports have started, and I think their first games are happening this week, so it's pretty exciting. And then another big thing that's happening at our school is going from enrichment to flex time. Basically 25-minute intercourses where you can either attend required classes such as AP courses, which we're basically studying throughout the semester to take the tests in May. So it's a nice semester-long study for that. And then it's also clubs. Students have the option if their grades are high enough to go play basketball in the gym, or if they have a C or below that's required tutoring. So I think that's kind of nice to have that back, and it's it's fun. That's all I have for you guys today.
Thank you, Gabby. That's all we have tonight.
We are very fortunate as a board to be able to have student voices with us, and we really do appreciate the input that they give. At this time, we're going to take a couple of minute break, and while we would love to have you stay for our business meeting, We do understand if you do need to leave, this would be a great time to do so. And thank you so much for coming out this evening. We'll take a couple minutes break.
All right, I'll see you later. I think she left, didn't she? Central. Oh, good. You would take this to her? Yeah. Okay, okay. Good job, Jim. What's up? No, you can leave. Who's going to close up the school night? I mean, can we put the alarm on? Well, we can do that. Where's the alarm? Does that Dr. Parker know where's that? Okay, well, we do what? Do what? Why don't you give him my cell phone number? Did you have anybody for public comment? No, no. Well, we put the alarm on before at Northside. Is it? Why don't you just tell Dr. Parker, ask him, and we'll lock up together. Just so they don't have to come back. Does he know where the alarm is? Yeah. Just okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and ask everybody that's remaining to please take their seats and continue with our evening. Next on our agenda this evening is we need a motion to approve the minutes from January 22nd and February the 20th. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Warden and a second by the twins, by Dr. Williams. Do we have any discussion? Ms. Parker, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Pam Pereza.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Rodney Walton, who is not here. Sharon Warden.
Yes.
And Valerie Bogues.
Yes.
Thank you. At this time in our meeting, it is time for public comment. Ms. Parker, do we have anyone signed up for public comment this evening?
We do not have any.
Okay, thank you. Let the record show no one signed up for public comment. Now I need a motion to approve the consent agenda from February 26th, including budget amendments 106 and 306.
I move to approve the consent agenda for February 26, 2024.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? Okay, Ms. Parker, roll call vote, please.
Pam Pereza.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Rodney Walton, not present. Sharon Warden.
Yes.
And Valerie Bogues.
Okay, now we are going to move on to our other agenda items, beginning tonight with the Financial Business and Technology Committee and Chair Sharon Warden.
And at this time, I'm going to call on Assistant Superintendent of Finance, Ms. Candy Tilley, to give our presentation of these items.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and other distinguished board members. I know we typically do fundraisers at the committee meeting, I missed one when I notified the principals of their fundraisers that had been approved. The Central Elementary School would like to do a Candyman fundraiser, and it begins March 4th. Second is the Scholastics quote. This is a use of ESSER money to address learning loss. And Dr. Parker, I think you were going to speak on this.
Ma'am, thank you, Ms. Tilley. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that are really cool about this particular quote, and it is for a list of take-home books for our students in pre-K through 5. And what we'll be able to do is, by the end of the school year, we'll be able to provide every student in our pre-K program up to 5th grade an opportunity to receive, I believe it is 6 books. I'm looking at Bert over here. Previously in past years it had been 5 books, but this year we were able to move that up to 6. And students will be able to get their books, to choose their books, and then they will be able to take those home with them, and they'll keep them. They become their books. And so the cool thing about this is a student that is in pre-K, by the time they get to middle school, they will have been able to build their own library at home because they'll be getting the 6 books every year. And we've heard from parents say that, particularly parents that have multiple children with us, they'll be able to share the books with their younger brothers or sisters as they get older. And so we're really fortunate through federal funding to be able to provide this opportunity to students as an opportunity to take home a physical book. And this is in addition to our book fairs. And so we still have book fairs in every school throughout the year, but this is something we do specifically for students as they go home to summer. So we're really excited about that opportunity, and the ability for students to be able to choose these books is also a feature that we're really excited about this year. I also want to thank Bert and Candy and Katina and our principals for working through to get us to the point of being able to choose these books, so thank you all for that.
Thank you.
When does that process begin, the choice of the books?
It'll be as we move, once the board approves the quote, pending the board's approval, then we'll have a selection of books, and then I think we're still landing on exactly how we'll have students select those books. But as we move into end of school year, we'll be able to do that. And what our goal is to move closer toward the end of the school, have students select those. That way when they receive them, they're taking them home closer to summer break, and we can get them to them that way.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you. The next agenda item, FBT 03, is a quote from CEV Multimedia. Ms. Overton is here tonight in case there are any questions, but it's my understanding that this is a new online digital CTE learning platform that was awarded to us via a grant through DPI. Any questions? That concludes.
Okay, before we're going to do the motion. Let's go ahead and do that first. We
Okay.
need to go back and take care of one other piece of business before we move forward anymore. So go ahead and let's do that motion first.
Okay. I'd like to move to approve FBT-01, the fundraisers, FBT-02, the scholastic quote, and FBT-03, the CEV multimedia quote. And I need a second.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Ms. Parker, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Pam Preza.
Yes.
Tommy Old.
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Rodney Walton, not present. Sharon Warden.
Yes.
And Valerie Bogues.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Parker. We need to go back for just a second.
Thank you, Ms. Tilley.
Thank you, Ms. Tilley, as well. We need to go back for just a second. We did a motion to approve the consent agenda, but we need to take action on those budget amendments that are within the consent agenda. So we need a motion to approve the budget amendments 106 and 306.
I move to approve the budget amendments for 106 and 306.
Second.
Point of order. Was that not the only thing on the consent agenda? the budget amendments? So,
It should be that we.
so I should have stated those amendments.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, I just want to
No, you're
make
fine.
sure.
And when I
Okay.
said I need a motion to, I included them, but they weren't included in the.
I didn't, I just said I so moved. Okay.
So we need, do we need to redo it, John? Help us out.
No, by approving the consent agenda, everything that's listed on the consent agenda
Is approved. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We just wanted to make sure that we had it correct and that it wasn't
So,
overlooked.
just to clear it up, from now on, when a motion is made for approval of the consent agenda, do we need to itemize the things that are on the consent agenda, or can we just say a motion to approve the consent agenda?
it's effective to just refer to the consent agenda for the action to be effective, but for the benefit of the public, listing those.
List, okay.
But
All right.
If you have 100 sets of
Right.
minutes, for example, you don't need to list them all, you can just say, I move to approve all of the closed session, or I'm sorry, all of the open session minutes listed on the consent agenda. That way people would know what it is, but you don't have to itemize that.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we will move forward, since we've already taken care of that, to Dr. Parker and some information about the school calendar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Want to point out a couple of things on our calendars, and we're asking the board tonight to approve a technical correction to our calendars. As the board remembers, last year, for the first time, we ended up asking the board to approve 2 calendar years at once. A part of that was to help our families, staff, and students be able to plan 2 years in advance, and that's a practice that we've got a lot of positive feedback on moving forward in terms of planning to help with that. One thing that we are asking the board to approve is a technical correction, and that is adding 1 holiday to the calendar that was inadvertently left off for each year. And we're required to have a certain number of those holidays, and I believe that is 10, Ms. Tilly? It's 11 for staff, and so we were 1 short on that, but we've got a simple correction to that, and that is to convert an optional teacher workday in both of the calendars, where students would not be in session on those days anyway. So this will not impact our families to make the technical correction. We'll convert that optional day into a holiday, and so then staff will not be working on that day. And for the 23-24, that's going to be March 29th, which is Good Friday. That was an optional work day, and we're making that conversion there. And then for the 2024-25 calendar, that's going to be Good Friday as well. That were optional days that we're going to convert into the holiday. So I think our staff will appreciate that. It puts us back into compliance.
A child 2 hours away.
Any questions from the board on that?
That was the staff saying, woo-hoo.
For the 23-24, it's March 29th, which is Good Friday, and then it's the same thing. It'll be Good Friday as well on the 24-25. All right, and if there's no questions on that, then we'll ask the board for a motion and to approve that.
Okay, can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
All right, can we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, Ms. Parker, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Tommy Old,
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
Rodney Walton, not present, excuse me, not present. Sharon Warden
Yes.
and Valerie Bogues.
Yes, yes.
And he's going to kill me.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. All right, so we're going to move on now. We're going to move to our...
Excited about those days.
I guess so. We're going to move on to our Student Representative Appointment Ad Hoc Committee with the chair of that committee, Vice Chair Pereza.
Thank you. You will see in the information that the policy for how we select our student board members or student representatives is in your packet or attached to your agenda, and then the application. We are not recommending to make any changes to the process, and we are not recommending to change anything with the policy or the application. The policy just states in here that prior to the March board meeting, the superintendent and the current student board members committee shall organize and facilitate the selections coming up. So just to let you guys know that we're starting this process. You know, it seems like we just did it, but we're starting it over again. What we will likely be doing is going back out to the schools and trying to promote the student board member positions like we did last year. And I've asked our current student board members to join us in those conversations with the juniors who will be applying for next year. So are there any questions about the process and what we're going to be doing?
Can you share with the board and our members that are listening in who that committee is?
Yes, that's Ms. Valerie Bogues, Rodney Walton, and myself.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have Ms. Preza, Vice Chair Preza again, who is going to share with us some items from the Personalized Education Committee.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll ask Dr. Katina Waples, our Executive Director of Elementary Education, to come up and share some information regarding the ECPPS dual language immersion.
Thank you, Dr. Waples, and I also want to, we're ready for the presentation stage. I also want to welcome some of our guests here tonight, Dr. Jake Henry and Freeber McKinney, who are joining us from Participate, who are going to co-present tonight with us on the presentation. So thank y'all for joining us this evening, and Dr. Waples for helping to get ready tonight. But we are very excited to present to the board tonight some updates on what has really become a little over a year-long process for us to think about reimagining what learning experiences are like for our students right here in ECPPS, and we want to talk about some work we've been doing on the Spanish dual language immersion program. And so on this next slide, you can see that, and we're going to share some things over here on this particular screen. And Dexter, would you mind just kind of tilting that a little bit so board members could see this way a little bit, and our audience can still see as well. If you'll see there a little bit, we've highlighted what has become our new vision statement, which is to reimagine education for all to ensure every learner is academically challenged and prepared for life. And that vision statement came out of countless conversations and dialogue we had across the community, where we really just asked our families and staff and students, what do you want to be true for your life, for your child? What do you want to be true when you come to school? And what we heard resoundingly from parents is they want to know that when their child walks across that stage at Northeastern, Pasquotank to Early College, or H.L. Trigg, that they have a plan, that they are ready to go into the world, and they are prepared to be competitive with students from Raleigh, Durham, Washington, D.C., New York City. And so we really took that to heart, and we heard that over and over again, and our thinking was, how do we bring the most innovative, cutting-edge, rigorous learning opportunities to students, bring it right here in Elizabeth City? And one of the things that we thought about is, as we visited some schools where students learn to speak Spanish at an early age, we thought, wow, imagine if students in Elizabeth City could learn 2 languages and leave us with that skill. And so I had an opportunity today to meet with some young people here, and these are some of my new friends from J.C. Sawyer that I was able to talk to today, and was able to spend a little time with them during lunch. But these are some kindergartners here at J.C. Sawyer, and we've got London, we've got Caden, we've got Jayla, and we've got James here. And they're in our kindergarten classrooms there at J.C. Sawyer. And I love this poster of Miss Robertson as well, which says, while we love our school, And there's all these reasons that students have posted on the board there about why they love their school. And that's great because, as we've been saying all month, from when Governor Cooper just a couple weeks ago declared that 2024 would be the year of public schools in North Carolina, we've been going around and we've been talking about how we love our public schools right here in Elizabeth City. So I love that board, Ms. Robertson. But think about these young people for a minute. And I want to start here to ground us in this conversation and why we're here today. But these young people are 5 years old, maybe getting ready to be about 6 years old. But imagine the world when they turn 30 years old and it's pushing the year 2050. Imagine when they turn 80 and it's pushing the year 2100. We don't know what that world will be like. But I also think about these young people, and I think about what if they could leave us prepared for that world no matter what it brings. And one of the things that could help them is being able to compete and get along with folks across the world. And what if these young people could leave speaking 2 languages? Maybe they want to fly an airplane. They can do that speaking 2 languages. Maybe they want to go into healthcare. They could do that speaking 2 languages. Maybe they want to become a teacher, and they could do that speaking 2 languages too. And that's what has driven us through this year-long process we're going to share with you today, is thinking about these young people and saying to them, it's a blessing to be born in Elizabeth City, and we're going to provide you all the opportunities right here. You don't have to go to Raleigh or Durham or D.C. to get it. You can get these opportunities right here. So as we go into this process, we're going to keep that in mind. But we specifically want to talk about dual language immersion. And so some of us in the room may have been in a Spanish class, or we may have learned Spanish. You may have gone on Duolingo and learned some Spanish that way. But specifically what we're talking about tonight is not a Spanish class that students go to at some point during the day and then they go back to their homeroom. We're talking about students spending their entire day, almost their entire day, in a Spanish classroom where the teacher only speaks to them in Spanish. And there's something about young children around the age of 5 or 6 that their brains work in a way where they can learn things by hearing them. And so by going into those classrooms at a young age and having a Spanish teacher speak to them all day in Spanish, they begin to pick that language up so fast, and they become fully immersed. And so that's what it means when we say a dual language immersion program, that students spend their day in Spanish with a teacher who is a native Spanish teacher. And we were able to visit some classrooms, and Dr. Waples is going to talk about those in a little bit, but we visited some classrooms where students were in their kindergarten year, and they were having conversations in Spanish, and they did not grow up speaking Spanish. And so we're really excited about those opportunities to think about here. So dual language immersion is different than a Spanish class, just spending your entire day in Spanish. And we offer Spanish classes in our high schools and middle schools, but this is not that. It's spending all day in Spanish. Hit the next one here. We're looking at the programs we're going to talk about tonight and present to the board as what's called a 90-10 one-way Spanish immersion program, and that means that students pretty much up until 3rd grade will spend 90% of their day in their classroom in Spanish, and the other 10% of the day will be in English, but that's when they go to art, music, some of the electives, and they'll go to those classes just like everybody else does. Around 3rd and 4th grade, we begin to infuse more direct English instruction for those students in the 90-10 program. But for the 3 schools we're going to mention this afternoon to launch the program, Central, Northside, and J.C. Sawyer, those programs will be what's called 90-10 programs. Hit the next slide, Dexter. We also, in addition to the things I said earlier about being competitive and having 2 languages, we've also learned that becoming bilingual at an early age really helps students in a lot of other ways than just the language. It helps them think critically. It helps them solve problems. We had a teacher in Tarboro tell us at Mark Millennium that we visited that students pay attention more because they have to, because they're getting the directions in a new language, and they have to listen very intently to make sure they know what the teacher is saying. And so student focus a lot of times is more direct in Spanish immersion classrooms as students begin to absorb the language. We also are very excited about giving our students the opportunity to have a teacher from another country. We right now have several teachers in Elizabeth City that are international teachers, and we know that providing these opportunities to have a wide range of experiences, culturally diverse experiences, are a good thing for our kids. And I think we'll go to the next slide here as well, Dexter. This slide is something that's very interesting to me, and it demonstrates in the light blue students across North Carolina that are in Participate Spanish Dual Language Immersion programs, and then the light gray are the student test scores that are just North Carolina averages. So as you can see there, starting with third grade, it's a little hard to read, but it shows third to fifth grade. Students in North Carolina that are in these programs, fully immersed dual language programs, outperform students that are not. And that takes into account all the students in North Carolina right there. So one of the things that we're very interested in Elizabeth City is ensuring that our students go to schools that are the highest performing schools in this region. And so we're looking for anything that can give our students a cutting edge to help them demonstrate that they can master these concepts that we test. And so that's an interesting slide there that I wanted to highlight. This slide here shows North Carolina Participate students that are in the dual language program compared to students in dual language programs nationally. And as our partners Jake and Freeburg will talk, we're really excited about our partnership with Participate. They have been facilitating dual language programs for a long time in North Carolina. This is not a new program in North Carolina. It's new to Elizabeth City. And this slide demonstrates that they have really figured out the answers to a lot of these questions parents have about how to make these programs work and make sure students learn both languages. And so we're excited to learn more about that. All right? And I think we'll go to the other slide there, Dexter. Great. And at this point, I'm going to ask Jake to come up and talk to us a little bit about Participate and the work that they are doing to help us launch these programs. Welcome, Jake.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. First of all, we're honored at Participate Learning that you would even consider partnering with us, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. For 37 years, we're North Carolina-based out of Chapel Hill, but for 37 years, we have partnered with school districts and individual schools to provide really programmatic support for programs like dual language, global education, and also to provide the highest quality teachers possible to make sure that those programs are successful. There's a lot that I could tell you about our partnerships. You see the slide there tells you that we work with a wide variety of folks in North Carolina and Virginia and South Carolina, but primarily North Carolina. But I will tell you this, we take very seriously the selection of our teachers because we know, as you saw tonight, by honoring the 100 teachers that went through that letters training, in order for these programs to be successful, you have to have high-quality teachers in front of the students who are committed to the fidelity of the program based upon what the research says. We have a very rigorous screening process. Thousands of teachers apply each year. Only 4% approximately of the teachers who apply to teach with Participate Learning are selected to come and teach in the United States in these programs. They go through multiple conversations with us, interviews, product reviews, document reviews to make sure that we find the brightest and the best. And we're committed to putting high-quality teachers in front of your students on a daily basis. As a result of that, we have a year-upon-year renewal rate, and we work with a large number of districts, as you see on the screen, and we would love to be able to shade in Pasquotank as well and work with your schools next year. Thank you.
So many of the things that we have done is work hard for family engagement. Last spring, we did school visits. This fall, we did parent interest surveys. We had approximately 154 responses. Primarily, the responses were for Central, J.C. Sawyer, and Northside. On February 1st, we did a site visit to Tarboro. It was amazing. We made sure that our staff at these schools were involved because at that point, we were looking towards holding them at those sites. So we visited. We opened our application process maybe about 2 weeks ago. So far, we've had 103 applications, and much like the parent interest survey, we have currently 103 applications that have been completed, 19 for Central, 23 for J.C. Sawyer, 23 for Northside, and then I'll just share with you the other schools. Right now, Pasquotank Elementary has 10, P.W. Moore has 6, Sheep Harney has 13, Weeksville has 6, and then we have 3 families that have said they're unsure of their exact school location in the fall, but they plan on attending the program. We also have not started kindergarten registration. So we know once we start kindergarten registration, we're going to have a lot more applications. We're also working to do flyers, and we will be hand delivering them to various school sites, our pre-K partner sites, daycares, hospitals, doctor's offices, churches, anywhere our students are, because we're really dedicated to making sure that we have equity in this application process. We really want our dual immersion program to look like our community. So we're gonna really work hard to make sure that we're getting the word out so that people who just may not be on Facebook or may not have email, they're still having this information in hand so that they can apply. Because we wanna create those cohorts, and these cohorts will be kindergarten through 12. So we really wanna make sure that they look like, again, our community.
Thank you, Dr. Waples. And as you can see some photographs here, so actually I have Freebird in the photograph right here with some of our students. But we visited a dual language immersion school in Alamance, Burlington, and as you can see, these are some Northeastern and Pasquotank High School students there. But EJ and Sean went into a kindergarten classroom at this dual language school with me, and we were just blown away. And at this particular time last school year, EJ and Sean and Jarrett and Erica there were sophomores, and they were in a Spanish 1 class, and they were just floored that these kindergartners were speaking more fluently in Spanish than they were at the time in a Spanish 1 class. And again, that's because the immersion of being in the language every day. But we had an opportunity to see this school. Some of our board members here accompanied us on that particular trip, where we were able to see dual language in action. The next slide here shows a photograph of our visit to Tarboro, and you can see some of our staff there. We actually were able to take some parents with us on that trip, and we had a student, a future student, actually join us on that trip, was able to go around and see some of the work going on in Tarboro there as we visited the dual language program there. And I think our next slide shows there, and it's a little hard to see, but we wanted to highlight on this photograph, this is the front of the school in Tarboro, Mark Millennium, and the school has 25 international flagpoles that are down the sidewalk there, and the school, in addition to dual language immersion, really transformed its look and feel to become a global school, so that students in the school not in the dual language program are still accessing global content and learning about the world. And that's something we're going to share here in just a minute, which is our vision as well, is for our schools to become global schools where students can receive this kind of content no matter what course they're in. All right? I'll speak to this. So one of the things that is a part of this vision is us creating a K-12 pathway for students. And so we have really come to articulate over the past year what I think is one of the greatest strengths that we have in ECPPS, and that is our diversity and our collection of talent and backgrounds and experiences. And so what we're saying to parents is we're embracing the multicultural components of our community, of our schools, and we believe that for students to learn about themselves and the world and differences in the world is a great thing because it prepares you to live in the world. And so we want our graduates here to be able to go anywhere in the country, stay right here in Elizabeth City, or go anywhere in the world and have the best quality education that they could have. And so the way we're getting there is we're looking to transform our elementary schools into dual language schools where that is an option for parents if they want to put children in the program. And our schools also becoming a focus with global leaders. Freebird is going to talk about what that program is. So our students, regardless of their dual language or not, will begin to receive global content. They'll be learning the North Carolina Standard Course of Study, but they'll be doing it through a lens of global content when they are going into elementary school, and that is going to prepare them to then when they get to middle school, going to one of our 2 middle schools, River Road or ECMS, and they will go into a middle year international baccalaureate program, oftentimes referred to as IB. And we're on track to become the first Eastern North Carolina district east of Wilson and 95 to offer an IB program. It is an extremely rigorous and competitive program. And it's not offered on the eastern side of the state except for Wilson. But if students complete the program, they can graduate high school with an international diploma that is recognized around the world. And so ECMS right now has submitted their application to become our first middle year IB program, and we're on track come August for ECMS to become that school where every middle schooler in grades 6 and 7 next year will go into that middle year program. And so think about this, those young people we saw on that first slide, by the time, if they choose to go into a language, by the time they get to middle school, they'll go into the middle year international program already speaking 2 languages, which is a requirement of that program, preparing themselves to get ready for high school. And then when our students get to high school, they could choose to continue with the IB program, and if they stay with that program, they'll receive college credit for coursework, and they'll graduate with an international diploma speaking 2 languages. Many of our students will qualify in their junior year through the dual language program to become a certified translator and actually could work and do translation right here in our community and graduate with the international diploma. And as we thought about this, tell me somebody who wouldn't hire an Elizabeth City graduate that could speak 2 languages, was a certified translator, and had an international diploma. That young person will go anywhere they want to go in this world or this community. And that's a promise that we're working to make to our young people, is to say, you stay here with us in ECPPS, we're going to do everything we can to make sure you're ready and competitive. And so dual language is a really important component of this broader K-12 pathway that we're really thinking about that embraces a global education. Right. This next slide is a little difficult to see, but what it demonstrates is dual language students that go through the program will be able to get their 2 high school Spanish requirements in middle school, because they'll go into middle school already being fully fluent in the language. And in fact, they speak the language so well that sometimes it's hard to find Spanish teachers that can actually teach the content at the level the students can speak it. And so these students will get those 2 high school credits in middle school and can actually begin 5th grade year in high school going into advanced placement Spanish or community college coursework in Spanish there. And that's how some of them will be able to get to the certified translation certificate in their junior year. So what an amazing opportunity for these young people to be able to have that as an example of a pathway right there. All right. The last part here is we're going to ask Freebird to come forward and speak to us a little bit about the Global Leaders Program, and this is something that will accompany our dual language immersion schools and also will accompany River Road Middle School this year as a pilot. And we've also had some of our emerging leaders teachers that are in our emerging leaders program go through and complete one of the Global Leaders programs right here. And also, we just want to brag on Freebird and Jake for a little bit, but Jake has served as an assistant superintendent in public schools and has worked to launch programs like this and has been just a great thought partner for us. And Muriel, who wasn't able to be here tonight, was a Spanish immersion teacher, have been huge thought partners for us. And then Freebird has previously served in a lot of different areas. One was as the state teacher of the year for North Carolina. And together, Jake and Freebird and Muriel just go around and are huge advocates for a lot of things going on in public schools. And we together have visited some schools in North Carolina in the past 2 years that are doing incredible things. So I just want to thank y'all for the time you're spending with Elizabeth City. And Freebird's going to tie this together here and talk about how Global Leaders is really going to help us in the program. So thank you, Freebird.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate this time and opportunity, and it has been a joy to travel with many of you on those visits. And again, as Dr. Parker kind of grounded us in that student experience, I wanted us to kind of reflect on that quote real quick, because this is the passion that Jake and Muriel have and our team have at Participate Learning, is really thinking about each one of our students. And we have to teach them to live in this big world, even though they live in a small town. And that's kind of the cornerstone of this, is how do we prepare our students and allow them to feel connected to this big, beautiful world, but also work so that they become competitive in this global workforce. Next slide, please. And I know this is hard to read, but a lot of people kind of ask, what is global learning overall? Like, what could the impact of this movement be? The beginning of this presentation is a global vision for Elizabeth City Pasquotank Schools. And I wanted you just briefly to think about what global learning and what the study of global issues, how it ties into local communities. When I think about global, I don't often just think about international. I think about the world that we live in, and for many of our students, the world is here. It's right here in Elizabeth City. How do they realize those multiple layers of connectivity? But then also, how do we provide opportunities for them to see themselves, whether it's through global action projects, the development of skills and competencies that have that global focus, or ultimately begin that career exploration, as Dr. Parker was talking about, and that middle school year where career development plans, career explorations are allowing them now to move into the high school age and make some very important decisions as to pathway, college and career readiness. Next slide, please. So Dr. Parker also just asked very briefly to kind of synthesize some national and some state initiatives that this works with. Next slide, please. So first, the State Board of Education launched the Task Force on Global Education, and these were some of their findings, 6 major findings, and I think 2 of them really stick out. The first one is we're not preparing our students for a global tomorrow. It is here. North Carolina is the #1 place to start a business or industry throughout the United States, and many of those companies and industries that are moving here are global nationals. Toyota, VinFast, Honda are investing billions and billions of dollars in our state. So how are we preparing our students for these opportunities? And then the last one, what I've loved about working with your team throughout this process is that you realize it's not sustainable unless it's a strategy. And the Elizabeth City Pasquotank team has really thought through, like, what could this strategy look like, incorporating dual language immersion, global leaders, IB, to build out an incredible opportunity that would rival any opportunity that a student and a parent could choose in this region, but really throughout the state. Next slide, please. I'm going to kind of run through these a little bit faster because I know we have some time. Google in November of 2022 launched the Future of Education report. And this really just fell into our lap. And as you said, that reimagining learning and what that means to our students. And you said that earlier. Next slide, please. The #1 finding and the trend that they're hoping that education really picks up on is the development of global problem solvers. And I love that they use that word global because then, again, it incorporates that idea that our students are operating in a big world even if they don't know it. So how do we provide those connections? And then how do we allow them to see themselves competitive as that global profile of a global leader? Next slide, please. You can see here the alignment of those global skills and competencies that Global Leaders helps to infuse with the North Carolina Porch for Graduate. This is a new initiative, but more and more focus will be put on how do we operationalize this. So what does this look like in a classroom? What does this look like at a school level? And then overall, like, how is a district preparing students to match those skills that our business and industry are requiring? Problem solving, communication, flexibility, empathy, which is actually the #1 requested skill and competency by business, faith, education leaders in North Carolina through that process. Next slide, please. And then I also just wanted to show the synergy between those global leader framework implementation, the skills and competencies, and also that connection with the IB learner profile. Same competencies and skills. So what you all are really looking at is that full K-12 global life cycle of a student. So I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's probably a great place to stop, but I just really want to say thank you for this opportunity and look forward to hopefully working with you all in the future.
Thank you, Freebird. And Jake and Freebird both have worked with international baccalaureate programs in the western part of the state, central part of the state, and incorporating dual language to make those things work together. And so we've been pulling on their expertise with IB in addition to the work that we're doing right here with the international, or with the dual language immersion program. And I think our last slide, Dexter, is the one that has the 3 schools. I think that's the last part we want to put up. We'll keep going past that one. There we go. So based on our parent interest surveys and our enrollment, we've identified 3 schools for our cohort 1. Again, this is based on parent interest. And so what we've said from the beginning is this program isn't a mandate, it's not a requirement, it's just solely based on parent interest. And we said that if we had parent interest, we would launch the program. If we did not have parent interest, we would move on to the thing that was next for us. We've been very excited because we have had, even preliminarily, as Dr. Waple has mentioned, a strong amount of parent interest. You know, just from our online registration, we've already had over 100 registries that Dr. Waples mentioned. We know that number is going to continue to grow. And so right now, we have enough enrollment to launch the program. And again, that's solely based on parent choice. Our highest enrollment right now has been at Central, J.C. Sawyer, and Northside. And so what we'll be asking the board to do tonight is to vote to approve the launch of the program at these 3 schools, so then we can move forward with finalizing our partnership with Participate and then moving toward the particulars of what that looks like. Our goal is to, in the 25-26 school year, to go through a recruitment campaign with the goal of launching a program in our remaining elementary schools. So our goal would be that in the next 2 years, a student can enroll into a language immersion in their zone school and not have to transfer into another school. And so we're going to launch with these 3 schools this year, and then moving forward, we will look toward our remaining schools. What we have said to parents is that based on availability in the classroom, we need to get at least 25 students in these classrooms. They will have 2 teachers in the classroom. For our educators in the room, these kindergarten and first grade classrooms are waived from the state class size mandate. They will have 2 Spanish educators in there. We want to get at least 25 students in those classes. And what we've said to parents at our other schools, Sheep Harney, Weeksville here, Pasadena Elementary, P.W. Moore, that if they want to apply for the program, that we will work with them to identify what is a school that will house a magnet program for someone that might apply that was not at one of these 3 schools. And so we'll work with parents to say, would you like to transfer to this school for the program? Or would you potentially, want to wait till next year until we potentially launch at your school? So we will work with that. So the short answer to that is the program is open to any child in Pasquotank County right now at one of these 3 schools, and our goal is 2 years from now, there'll be a program at every school. A lot of great things we shared here, a lot of information, so I want to pause here as we kind of conclude and take any questions or comments from the board, and then in following that, we'll ask the board to consider voting and launching the program. So any questions, comments, or anything that we could speak to from anybody right now?
I have a couple of questions. First question is to explain our reasoning for the 90-10 program versus the 50-50. Like, how was that one selected and chosen as the preferred model?
That's a great question. And so a couple of things to point out there. One is I think it helps us maximize the amount of time students have in the language at an early age. And so because they'll be spending 90% of their day in kindergarten and first grade, second grade, they gain acquisition in that new language so much faster. It also helps us with our staffing patterns in the schools to be able to identify a classroom that will be essentially self-contained for that. There has been some questions that we've had from some of our principals and some of our parents of, can students enroll in a 90-10 program if their first language was Spanish? And the answer to that is yes. And so we can support students in the program that way by also providing students their Spanish might have been their first language, additional ESL support and English instruction as needed. But essentially, our goal has been to maximize that time early on so students gain a faster acquisition of Spanish in earlier grades.
Thank you. The native Spanish speaking was another question I had. And then what consideration has been given to transportation for if we were to allow the magnet, a site to be a magnet school?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so on the transportation piece, what we're looking to do to try to support the transportation piece as much as possible is identify one of these 3 schools to house the magnet program for the county. There's going to be a good amount of work we've got to do with transportation to ensure efficient bus routes and to ensure that students can arrive in a timely manner. It's going to be difficult to project what those routes will look like until we actually know who's in the classroom. But once we do that and we know where students live around the county, we're going to have to maximize bus routes to ensure that we reduce the amount of times kids will sit on a bus. And so once that happens, we'll have to get really creative about how students are dropped off. And that's just something that we're going to have to work through, and we've kind of talked with transportation on. So it's difficult to give an exact answer to that. I think the honest answer is we're going to have to work through some barriers, but I think by thinking creatively and maximizing routes and how kids are dropped off, we can overcome those. But it's certainly something we're going to have to work through. But our commitment will be, if you go to the zoned program, then we'll provide transportation. And if we could have, 10 or 12 more bus drivers, then that would help with that a lot. So I'll do another plug for anybody that may be listening that want to drive a school bus. There you go.
Okay, so we are going to need to take action on this evening. And so what we're looking for now is a motion to approve the launch of the dual language immersion program at Central Elementary, J.C. Sawyer Elementary, and Northside Elementary for the 24-25 school year. So do we have a motion?
I move to move forward with the emerging program for the schools listed.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Williams. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Parker, roll call vote, please.
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Tommy Old,
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes.
Rodney Walton, not present. Sharon Warden
Yes.
and Valerie Bogues.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Thank you to our speakers this evening. We appreciate having you. Thank you, Dr. Waples. At this time in our agenda, we're going to move on to the Policy Committee. Mr. Walton is the chair of that committee. He is not in attendance tonight, so I will at this time call Rachel Haynes to the podium to share policy revisions with us.
Chair Cobb, Vice Chair, President, Board members, good evening. So tonight, what we have presented to you is a group of policies for first read. So in your folder, you have 21 policies that need revisions. Most of these are minor revisions. Some of them have some more substantial revisions. So we've also included for you, as you review them this month, a summary sheet that's been highlighted. So those that have more substantial changes are highlighted in green. But just to highlight a few of those, policies 1310, 4002, which is parental involvement, and policy 4720, which is survey of students, have both been updated to reflect statutory changes on surveys. Policies 4040, 7310, staff-student relations, and policies 4240, 7312, child abuse and related threats to child safety, have been changed to reflect changes regarding reporting. Policy 4150, school assignment, has been changed to define standards for assignment and request for reassignment. Policies 6401, 9100, and 7730 are both reflecting changes as it relates to mandatory training for conflict of interest. Policy 7130, licensure, reflects changes for service members and their spouses relocating to North Carolina. And the last somewhat major changes, policy 7510, changes to the leave policy that adds a section about paid parental leave. So again, we are not requesting anything or no action on these this evening, just a first read to be voted on, discussed and voted on at the March regular meeting.
Okay.
And that concludes my report.
Does anyone have any additional questions for Ms. Haynes? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to move on to our excellent educators and Dr. Sheila Williams, who will present some information on our Teaching Fellows Plan.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to ask the lovely Miss Kelly Cowell to come forward, Director of Talent Development. And she's going to share information with us regarding ECPPS and the North Carolina Teaching Fellows.
Good evening, Chair Cobb, Vice Chair Pereza, board members, Superintendent Dr. Parker, and everyone joining us here this evening. I would like to talk to you guys a little bit about an amazing opportunity that we have. We received a grant for Teaching Fellows for $55,000. It's coming. Great, so our district was one of 20, we were one of 20 districts awarded the recruitment grant. And this is an effort to, it's okay, go ahead, you go to the next one. There you go. Our district was one of 20 school districts awarded the $55,000 recruitment grant. And this is an effort to enhance our teacher pipeline. I mean, we're really excited about this grant. So if you take a look, you can see the strategies that we plan to use for this grant. And that's the North Carolina Teacher Cadet Program, as well as making sure that we can implement the Teaching as a Profession course. We're gonna also, I'm sorry, I can't see that. We're gonna also incorporate tutoring opportunities and scholarships for 3 to 5 students. And that's gonna be a budget of $35,000. If we go to our second goal, we're going to increase the number of licensed teachers in the North Carolina Teacher Residency Program, and this is the residency program for licensure only. And so we're going to provide those scholarships for those current teachers enrolled in that educator preparation program. We're going to work with colleges and universities for discounted fees and opportunities. We're going to utilize the North Carolina Teaching Fellows funding to reimburse those tuition and fees for all of our teachers that are in that program. And that is going to be a competitive program. So we're going to get a committee together. And that's a budget of $20,000. So the proposed budget, if you take a look, we have scholarships for our seniors. There's going to be 3 to 5 seniors that we're looking to put into our program, and that will come to a cost of $30,000. And if you take a look at the $20,000 budget, that's going to be for our teachers that would apply to be in our residency program, and we can help with their tuition. And then we will also have stipends for career exploration for our facilitators, and we budget that for $3,000. And then materials for that career exploration for $2,000. So our next steps. So we're talking to you this evening to tell you about our plan. We will then send our plan to the North Carolina Teaching Fellows Commission. And then once we send that plan over, then we are looking for approval in March. And then they will send us an MOU. We will sign that MOU, and then we will get applications out to our high school seniors as well as our residency teachers. And then we plan to award in May/June at our senior nights at our high schools. And then at that time, we will establish if we're going to use the teacher cadet, teaching as a profession, or if we're going to do clubs and organizations. Do you have any questions?
I do have just a few.
I knew it. I knew it.
Not many, but just one or two.
Sure.
So you mentioned the course, and I remember we were working on a course before. Is that through
That is
CTE
true.
as it was before?
Yes.
And the NC Teacher Cadet, I'm so excited about that. I've said that for a few years, so I'm so happy that we can, actually bring that to ECPPS and hopefully build our own teachers, send them out. And so this $30,000 is for seniors, so you're
Yeah.
going to support them going through their that's great.
Yeah, so we're looking for 3 to 5 seniors, and so we can pay them up to $10,000 to go off to school for one academic year, and then they will then get another $10,000. It's depending on who we're going to put in the program, but it would be 3 to 5 seniors. So if let's say we have 3 people, then that would be $10,000.
So will you have a contract or something for them? And
Yes.
Okay, all of
Yes.
that will be in place.
And we're also looking to have them also apply for the North Carolina Teaching Fellows Program. So I want to help, I want to help them get in there. So then if we can get them in there, then we will be able to have others
Right,
participate
that's
in
more
this program.
tuition for them.
Yes,
Okay,
and with
great.
this program, if it's any university, any EPP they can attend.
Okay, sounds great, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Cowell?
I'll just say at one point, Madam Committee Chair, that, if you think about initiatives like this one
Yeah.
are going to mean that, as we've been saying ever since the Chamber Expo and this whole year, that you don't have to leave Elizabeth City to have a great career and to contribute. And this program will allow our high school students right now to get a funded degree and come back and teach in our public schools. And I just think that's so wonderful. So thank you all for Kelly and Rachel and your team for the work you put into this and helping us secure these funds. And also highlight that this is an example of some of the work that Kelly's moving into as our new Director of Talent Development by expanding these kind of opportunities. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as you know, Kelly's previously worked as BT coordinator, but so much of this work now has gone beyond just supporting our beginning teachers. It's moved into this space of how do we recruit, retain, and develop our own teachers and expand it. And so there's a lot of great work that you're doing, Kelly, so I just want to shout you out for these opportunities that you're sort of bringing together for us here, and I think that's just a great thing.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Any more
thank you.
questions?
No other questions? Thank you.
I have one,
Oops,
one
sure.
more. This is for any university, state-funded university, correct?
Yeah, so any educator preparation universities.
Any university they
Yes.
choose?
Now, yes, it's the same North Carolina Teaching Fellows that we're used
Okay.
to, but this is a different initiative. So this is a pilot program where the funds will funnel to our district. So
Okay.
then, once those funds come here, then we are allowed to give them award them to our students. And
And-
they get to choose their university at that point.
And this is, I'm sorry, go ahead. This is kind of connected with Teach and See. Is that
I'm sorry?
correct? With Teach and See, is it kind of I saw something online about that. Is there
I
connection
am
with the
not
partnership?
so sure about that. I haven't heard that in our meetings, but I will get back to you.
No, it's
Okay.
okay. It's online that they're together, so I
Okay.
read it.
And on that contract issue, okay, the student is going to make a commitment
Yes, to come back
to
here.
go through the program, and they're going to make a commitment to come back to Elizabeth City
Correct.
past what time? Okay.
Correct, and it's kind of one for one. So if we pay for 1 year, you're gonna come back and teach for us a year.
Great, great. Well, thank you for your phenomenal work and your team. I know you had people helping you, so a shout out to them as well.
Thanks.
This is really great, really good.
And last
It's
question,
exciting.
is this set up like a loan, like the North Carolina forgivable loan, that if they choose not to, they repay that amount, or?
That's gonna be set up through our district.
Right, that's, okay, good.
Kind of how we set up our residency program partnership with
Yes.
ECSU.
Well, that's the way the state teachers fellows
Yes.
was. If they didn't fulfill the commitment, then they had to pay the money back.
That's
So,
exactly right.
Yeah,
We plan to do all of those things as well.
okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Ms.
Carol.
Hill.
Welcome.
All right, at this time, Dr. Williams, can you take us into closed session?
I can. A motion for the board to go into closed session as allowed by NC General Statute 143 through 318, 11A6, for the purpose of considering one or more personnel matters that are confidential under the NC General Statute 115C through 320, as allowed by NC Statute 143 through 318, 11A3, to consult with the board attorney regarding matters protected by the board attorney-client privilege and to preserve that privilege.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second from Ms. Bogues. Any further discussion? Ms. Parker, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Tommy Old,
Yes.
Dr. Sheila Williams.
Yes?
Rodney Walton, not present. Sharon Warden
Yes.
and Valerie Bogues.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. That's the end of our open session.